Blackfish or Luderick are a common and abundant salt and brackish water species found in coastal seas and estuaries from southeastern Queensland to the east coast of Tasmania, as well as around the North Island of New Zealand, where they're known as parore. An omnivore, the Luderick's diet consists of all sorts of marine algae, as well as invertebrates such as worms, shrimps, prawns, saltwater yabbies and plankton, plus fish spawn and even small bait fish at times. But those of us who target them on a regular basis prefer to use various forms of marine vegetation for both our bait and burley. The two most common types are the long, filamentous algae, generically known as greenweed, which are typically found in estuary backwaters or shallows, and even in freshwater creeks and drains. Then there's the sea lettuce or cabbage weed that's commonly seen growing on the intertidal rock ledges around our coast. Once a reliable source of either is found, it doesn't usually take too long to gather enough for a session. Luderick are regularly targeted in the whitewater washes around ocean headlands and rocky points, and that's a pursuit I'll look at another time. Today, I want to take you into the calmer waters of the estuaries, bays and harbours to chase blackfish. It's one of my favourite places to do it. Here we can get away with fine, delicate tackle and heaps of finesse. It's an approach that really accentuates the charms and challenges of these unique fish, and it borrows a lot of its tackle and techniques from the European freshwater coarse fishing scene. This style of fishing tends to involve small hooks, fine leaders and floats weighted so that the softest bite will submerge them. If your float's sitting up high like this, you don't have enough weight under it, and a timidly biting fish will feel the float's resistance and likely spit the bait out. Add enough weight so that only the stem protrudes from the water. You can certainly use a spinning reel or egg beater on a light rod for this caper, and lots of people do, but I prefer to go old school and use a simple centepin reel on a long, light float rod. This reel's 40 odd years old and it's still going strong. Burley really helps to attract blackfish and get them on the chew. Just chop up some of your weed bait and mix it with some wet sand in a bucket. Throw a few balls of this burley in before you start fishing, and then drop in another handful every time you bait up or after landing or losing a fish. The sand helps to carry the weed and its smell down through the water column. Baiting up with weed can be a little bit tricky. I'm using cabbage or sea lettuce today, and I start by selecting a small clump or a few leaves and laying the bait alongside my hook. Next, I take 2 or 3 half hitches around the top of the bait with my fine leader, making absolutely sure they only go around the weed, not around the hook shank itself. Gently pull the hitches tight, but not tight enough to cut through the bait. Then, slip the hook point through a few of the leaves. You want a fairly neat bait with the hook well concealed inside it. Do a little bit of pruning if you need to, and throw the stray leaves into the water or into your burley bucket. Okay, when I'm happy with the bait, it's time to get the rig into the water. I'm fishing from my boat today, anchored fore and aft across the current, but you can fish from the shore in lots of places. I'm just going to drop the float rig into the water beside the boat and start feeding out some line to let it drift away down current. One of the joys of using a centepin is that the rig itself is often enough to pull line from the spool as it drifts away, but you don't want to be holding that float back and causing it to drift unnaturally, so I'm actually going to keep feeding line out by hand, being careful to minimise the amount of slack between my rod tip and the float. Usually you want your bait set at least 1 metre or 2 beneath the surface, sometimes more in deeper water. Experiment with the depth you're fishing at until you start getting some bites or downs. Watch that float stem like a hawk. For me, the most exciting moment in blackfishing is when it slips silently beneath the surface. That's called a down. Then you need to decide how long to wait before striking, something that can vary from day to day. You won't pin them all. In fact, some days you'll miss a lot. Reel in and check your bait after a missed down and tidy it up or replace it if necessary. But hang in there because success will come, and I guarantee that you'll be absolutely mesmerised watching that drifting float, just waiting for it to vanish from sight. Got him. Oh! Just a little one. Not even risk lifting him. Yeah. Here you come, mate. Oh. Just a little fella, undersized. Little beauty. Where there's little ones, there'll be big ones. Turn them upside down, they often sit nice and still. With another bait on, I'm ready to go again, and the sense of anticipation is high. My eyes are glued to that brightly coloured float stem. Down it goes. Got him. Oh yeah, fish too. Don't think it's a giant, but it might be a keeper. Staying down. Look at that rod working. Let's have a look at you. Just using my thumb here on the rim of the spool as the drag. Oh, I'm keen to have a look at this one. Oh yeah, it's a nice fish. Put the clicker on. Oh yeah, it's a good fish. I like to slip the clicker on when the fish is close for a little more control. Oh, they're so strong. He's gone deep right under the boat. Slowly get him up. Can't rush him. I love fighting fish on these centepin reels. Oh, he's a good fish. Alright, grab my long handled net. It's the thing with the long rod. Really handy to have a long net as well. I really want to show you this one. I went to a very small hook, so I've missed a couple. I just don't want to pull too hard. Here he comes. And he's in the net. Alright, I'll show you a decent Luderick. Oh, he's not a giant, but well and truly legal. They're just the nicest looking fish. Little mouth and those weed cropping teeth. Well, that's a keeper. Oh, that hook's in there too. I might have to... Wow, to get that out later. Oh no, maybe not. Oh. There it is. Tiny little, about a number 10 or 12 hook. I'll show you properly in a minute. In the live well. And that's that little hook I was talking about, and I'm actually going to retie it because it was well down his throat. I'm just a little bit worried there might be some damage from the teeth, so I'm just going to cut a centimetre or so off and retie it. With my little hook retied and rebaited, I can't wait to get the rig back in the water. Down again. Got him. Oh yeah, that's a good fish too. Oh, that's so much fun. he's a good fish. So strong. Just pulsing away down there in the current. Got to let him run when he wants to. Just got to take him really easy with the little hook and the fine leader. I've only got a 4-pound leader on here, so you can't pull too hard. Oh, he's a beast, an absolute beast. Oh, that is a big blackfish. I don't think I've caught a whole lot bigger than that. I'm not going to say PB, but best for the year so far, put it that way. And I've got him. Oh, yes. Oh, that is one serious blackfish. Wait until you see this thing out of the net. I don't think I can fit him all in frame for you. It's a male and it's actually milting. They're spawning at this time of the year. I'm a little bit excited because that is one heck of a Luderick or blackfish. Luderick, blackfish, whatever you want to call them. Gorella tricuspidata is the scientific name. It's actually Girella, not Girella, and it was my PB at that stage, measuring 46 centimetres and weighing nearly 1.5 kilos, although they can potentially grow twice that big. Whatever their size, I just love catching them, and I hope I've inspired you to give it a crack as well. Until next time, tight lines.